Hi there, guys. So we've been having some discussions in the Zoom room, so I thought I'd put this out on a video. Just going to be a bunch of thoughts. I haven't got it scripted at all, but we're talking about piece stakes, pixel stakes, and render buffers, and what cube models, etc. I'm just going to walk you through something here. So, um, starting off with a blank layout. Say you want to do some pixel stakes. We're going to keep it short and simple. Three stakes across, two stakes back, a set of a height of five. So a lot of times we go with the cube model. Draw it here. Now you don't, this is in 2D right now. I'm going to go to 3D just because it's easier to see. You do not have to be using 3D to create your or to use the cube model, but it makes it easier to see. So we are going to go with a width of 3, a height of 5 pixels, and a depth of 2. And I'm choosing those numbers sort of to keep it small and simple, but also I don't want it to be, I'll show you in a second. So there's your 5 high, 2 deep cube. If I flip it back to non 3D, it's a little harder to see. So there you go. Now, this is where the interesting stuff happens. We're going to go and create a sequence and animation. And we always talk about a render buffer, and we talk about what the heck is a render buffer. A render buffer is what xLights renders against. So if I drop an on effect here, really doesn't matter which one we do, but an on effect. We can't really see it, but it's 5 pixels high, it's 3 across, and 2 deep. There is an option here under View, Windows, Effect Assist. A lot of people don't even see this, don't know what it means, but that is the render buffer. As you can tell, 5 high. One, two, three, first three stakes. One, two, three, the back three stakes. This is the render buffer. And then we talk about it always rendering in 2D. Well, remember, our cube was actually 3D, but you can see plain and simple, it's actually a 2D matrix. Everything gets rendered in this matrix style. All right, so we know that we have a grid here that is 6 columns and 5 rows. If that's right, yes. So let's go and back to the layout. So there's a cube model. Let's do the same thing using candy canes. This is another option you can do, is candy canes. So this one would be 3 canes because we're going to do three across. We're going to do 5 high. We're going to do, oops, I guess it's actually, you got to do 5 and 5 on that one. And then we want it to actually be a stick. So we got to take off the actual, the actual curve on the candy cane, right? So there it is. And now we're going to do Control C, Control V. We got two of them. And I think I can probably push it back and push it. Good enough. So you know, you have two. And we have two stakes together. And let's go back to the sequencer. And I have to add those new elements there. And we'll group those in a second, but I just want to show you something right first here. If I scroll down, you can see that it is 5 pixels high, 3 across, because it's only one of the one row of stakes. So you can see that is correct. All right. So let's go back to the layout. That is candy canes. That is the cube. Another option you might choose is just to draw your single lines, right? So I want to get back into 2D because it's easier for me to draw these things. I'm going to click on that, delete that, and I'm going to draw the stakes. One up, close enough. Control C, Control V, V, and Control V and V, V. And there we go. So those are our single line stakes. Let's take a look at that in the sequencer. And we have to do again, edit display elements, and we are going to add all those over. Click OK. We'll group them later in a second. And so now let's remember there's your three stakes candy canes. Now these are individuals, but look at the single line. Oh, you know what? My mistake. I spoiled it. Let's go back and delete these guys and click yes. Well, you saw it, but I really want to correct it. It's 5 high, right? Not 50. So 5 high. Now we're going to do Control C and click here, Control V, V, and then one, two, three. So now there we go. Come back to the sequencer and we go and click on this guy. notice that the render buffer for a single line, even though we drew them vertical, it's horizontal. So it's 5 wide, but it's tipped on its side, I like to say. Let's go back and edit display elements, and we're going to add those. So think about what might happen if you do an effect against something like this versus something like that. It's tilted. So that's one of those things you often see about, well, you have to rotate the transformation, etc. So keep that in mind. So we've got these. I'm going to put these three into a group. So create a group from that, and we'll call it single lines front. And we'll just go back to the sequencer and edit display elements. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, so this was the candy canes. We have five up, three across. Now let's see what it looks like down here. Hmm, that does not look like five up, three across. Reason? It's in a group, and a group is done per preview. So that means it goes to the layout and it basically tries to draw a graph or a matrix on there and gets the pixels. So this is turning out to be 900 or 90 columns at 204 rows. This is really wild. So that's where the render style comes in here. We can look at a few different ones. Per preview is the same as default on a group. Single line. Whoa, what is that doing? That looks like it is putting so we know that they're five apiece, right? One, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five. So it put them all in a single line, one stake after the other. Remember, we're only doing three stakes here. We're doing the front of the stake. So that's not what we want. Of course, we don't want a pixel. That just makes it all act as one. Horizontal stack. Interesting. That's the same as the single line. That's not what we want. Vertical stack. Yeah, interesting. Let's see what that really does. Can I zoom this in? I'm going to drag it out and see if, well, that's interesting. That's five across, but we want them to be vertical. That didn't work for us. And let's go horizontal per model. Ooh, that looks right. So there, horizontal per model. So that tipped every one of those individual stakes up and then put them next to each other. So that's a really good candidate. That looks very interesting. Um, Horizontal per model per strand looks to be the same. So one of those. Um, and let's just for giggles, we'll come down there. Ooh, that's not it. That's like per preview. And I don't know. No, none of those look good. So I think we probably want to do horizontal stack. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. Told you I was gonna mess things up here. Horizontal per model. There we go. So that looks very similar. So that would render the same as that. And the cube model, we've got two rows in there. I've only got one row in that. So that's not it. So did I not save that? I thought I did. Horizontal per model. Click. Now let's go and up and back down. Hey, why isn't it saving that? What am I doing wrong, guys? Oh, of course not. I'm moving it up so it doesn't have that option to save. So if I have horizontal per model. There. If I used a different model and came back, we would see it. All right, so individual lines tipped over, they're not the right way. We put them into a group and we change the render style here. That we change the render style on the effect, horizontal per model, but let's show another option here. I'm going to reset it back to default and go to the layout. And we're on this one here, single line front. You can change it right here. Horizontal stack, horizontal scaled, horizontal per model. Now, horizontal per model. Ooh, changes it to horizontal stack. So let's see. That's interesting. Let's go back to the sequencer and click off and click on. There is default. There is five, five, and five. That is exactly what you'd want to see when it comes to matching something on the candy canes or matching on the cube. One, two, three, four, five. Your stake is five up and it's three across. And this is five up, three across. We've only got three stakes in there. You get the idea. Okay, let's expand this out a little bit. So right now we've done it with single lines, we've done it with candy canes, we've done it with a cube. Let's go and do it with a polyline. Some people suggest why not use the polyline for your stakes. So let's draw that across, click there, and hit escape. And you can say it's going to be we wanted 15. Let's go with 15 nodes. That'd be three stakes. And we want a drop pattern of 5. Let's see if that does what we want. That looks like three stakes, 5 apiece. I'm not too worried about starting at the bottom or starting at the top. That's not the point of this video. And let's go edit display elements. Let's add the polyline and take a look at that one. Click close. So what I'm really getting at here is understanding a little bit more about the render buffer and why a vendor sequence may not match yours based on how you designed your props. So if they designed it using a candy cane and you did single lines and all of your things are tipped over, this may explain it, or at least get you thinking about it. First of all, I'd like to note that the polyline often shows up really weird in the model preview because there's skewing going on. It's kind of I mean, it's tilted. There's probably a way to fix that, but that, again, that's not the point of the video. Here we can come back. We can verify. Yep, that looks good. It's 3 columns and they're 5 high, so that probably means it's going to render exactly what you'd like. So that's a win. Well, let's come back to the layout. Another option we see is using the icicles for stakes. And I bet you're going to think this is probably the exact same thing, right? So nodes per string, this would be 15 because we're going to do 3 pixels or 3 stakes, and we want the drop pattern to be 5. So each one would be 5. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 3 stakes. Let's go back to the sequencer, edit display elements, and go to the icicles, and we're going to add that guy and click close, and we're going to drop, we'll just move it down here. We're going to move down, and you see that the icicles also has that 5 by 3 pattern. So what I'm getting at here is a lot of times people are using single lines and grouping them. That's where you really want to make sure that you are accounting for it, because by default, we saw that they were tipped over, right? If I move this up, you can see they're tipped over, and they're going to have a different render style. All right, so let's go one step deeper if you're still with me here. Say you've got the cube model and you want to create different groups of the cube model. So maybe you got a front row, back row, left side, right side. So often what you do is you'd go to the layout, go to your cube model. Let's go and make submodels for that. So we know that we can slice and dice the submodels. There's a cool little trick here under actions where you say generate slices, and you would say that I want it to be called, I'm just going to say STK1, and I want to use nodes. And how many total stakes are there? I believe in this cube there was 3 and 3, so that's a total of 6. So I'm going to say 6. And there you go. You got 6 stakes. Interesting. 1 to 5, 6 to 10, etc. So it creates all the stakes, right? So let's click OK. Well, that was kind of easy and kind of cool, right? Let's go to the sequencer and expand out the cube. Remember, our stakes are 6 high, 5 high, sorry, 6 across. Let's arrow down. Uh-oh, our stakes are tipped over again. What can we do now? I don't know if we put them in a group, we could do that same sort of trick we did, but there's also another interesting way to handle this scenario. If you go back to the layout and go to the submodels, and this may be a feature enhancement coming soon, but there's this neat little trick here that says, no, look, normally we would put when we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, we would actually create 5 layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would work as well. But there's also this option here where it says keep XY. So that means it's going to keep this orientation for these pixels. It's not going to treat them as one row. It's going to treat them as one column. So unfortunately, there's no quick way to do this, but I'm just going to click through and add them all up. Keep XY. That's what I'd say. Maybe we'll get an option in here to do this for us if we think it's needed. And I'm just going to go back and make sure, yeah, things look good. Yep, click OK. Come back to the sequencer and I'm gonna click off and click on, and wow, that is not what I expected. That is not what I expected at all. I got okay, you know what? I gotta double check. Let me double check. So layout, my cube, and I gotta go to the cube and I'm gonna go to 3D. I gotta make sure that my node layout is what I expect here. Node layout. Oh, no, no, no. So I have one, two, what do I have here? One, two, three, four, five, six. That's not what I want. So my cube should have been uh, front. I want my cube to actually be vertical front to back, vertical left to right. Let me just double check. So that's another good thing for a cube. If you make a change here, go to right click, node layout. This is like a render buffer. You can see it's going one, two, three, four, five, and it's coming back down. That's not how I'd like to have it. No, that's not normally how you do it. So you would say no zigzag. Let's try that and click off it and come here, node layout. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, 12, 13. That looks good. And then it jumps over to here. That's probably not what you want. You probably want this to be set here. And let's click off and redo node layout. Node layout to do. So the front face is one. This is stake one, stake two, stake three. Then it's stake four, five, and six. So four, five, and six. That's probably what you want. So if you're trying to emulate a vendor who's created a cube, you might want to come in here and see how they've set that up. Because if you want to put your stakes in that same order, you probably want to match this. Okay, so let's go back to the sequencer and let's see if what I was expecting to see. So here's your original cube. There we go. There's the slices. You see each stake now is a vertical stake, and that's what you would expect to see. So let's finish this off by creating a group, adding an empty group, and I'm going to call it cube front stakes. There's probably different ways of doing this, but I'm going to just say cube front stakes. I'm going to type in here cube, I think. Here we go. And I want the first three stakes. So that's oops, that's one. Well, I am not clicking the right ones here. Let's try again. One, two, and three. There we go. First three stakes in our group. I'm going to come over to the sequencer and I am going to edit display elements. Again, I want to double check that the orientation is what I'm expecting. So down here on here, I'm going to drop the on effect. Whoa, remember this? Same rules apply. This is a group, so it's done per preview and it's got some wacky 129 by 108. So we'll just do a quick cheat and we'll do it on the actual effect and we'll go horizontal per model. There we go. One, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five. So that way this will match the effects on this group will match the effects on this group, will match the effects done on individual stakes in terms of, orientation. These ones are still tipped over because we didn't address that. But these look good. Again, this would be if you want to make the change on a single effect. Otherwise, leave it at default. Come back to the layout, go to your group, and just change this to horizontal stack, and go to sequencer. And if I click off and click on, you'll see it reloads it exactly the way you'd expect it to see. So lots of stuff in this video. Maybe it's way over your head. I don't know, but this is just, we thought this was kind of interesting. This gives you this effect assist, is showing you that render buffer, makes you think about why certain things happen, why they do and why they don't. If I was to put a bars effect on here, bars effect, remember that it's tipped over. So if I put a bars effect, you see it's only red because I have up and there's nothing to go up. There's nothing there. So that's why you have to go, oh, maybe I got to make it left to right, for example. Now you can barely see it, hopefully. There you go. Now you can see it's going left to right. That's because it's tipped over. If I make it up, and I could also accomplish the same thing by transforming it, rotating it 90. Notice that it's now vertical. Um, You've essentially rotated that buffer. The reason you wouldn't want to do rotation on something like this here is because it would rotate all the stakes. So if I say rotate 90, you would end up having the stakes would all be messed up. So it's best to do it the other way in horizontal stacking, especially if a cube model, it would they would overlap each other and such. So recapping here, let's go back to the layout. Different ways to create stakes, what you do when you create groups, what the secret behind the default layout mode does for you, and then going over to the sequencer, making you aware of what this effect assist window is really talking to you about and the size of your render buffer and whether or not it's big or small. Let me go back to where's the group one we had? We got something on a group. Let's go with this guy. I just wanted to point this one out as well. This was a feature that was added a little while ago. And if I go groups, I'm going to take this back to minimal grid. That's usually the default. This is the max grid size 400. So if I go to sequencer and click on this, click off and click back on to reload the screen. This size here is currently 129 by 108. It cannot get larger than 400 by 400. That's what that grid size is for. And we talk about performance issues. This is a performance issue because it's having to create a grid this big when we know it really should have been um, this big. So you're making it do a lot more work to accomplish the same task, and I think you'll better off looking at this. So there's a video for you for today. Again, it's pretty deep, but you can take a look at a vendor sequence and how they've done these models and compare it to yours to make sure that you're comparing apples and apples and not mixing up things. Hope this is helpful. I know we're just scratching the surface on this topic. I'm no expert at it. We've been playing around with it in the Zoom room and sort of learning as we go. Hopefully that helps you. And great. Have a great day and see you in the Zoom room.